Making mistakes is a part of human nature. Everyone makes mistakes, but after getting to know their expensive mishaps, you will certainly do everything very carefully, as they have costed a fortune and a lifetime of regret to these people. Number 10. The measurement mishap for French company. It is always advised to take decisions carefully. We don't know what caused the French company such haste that they ended up making an expensive mistake. In 2014, French company SNCF made a mistake that was going to cost them time and fortune. What went down was that they purchased trains that were too wide for the platforms. Apparently, the contractor didn't provide the right measurements for the platforms. This minor mishap costed them a huge fortune of 50 million euros. But there's even more. The platforms are more than 50 years old, and they proved to be narrow for the trains to be accommodates. So, it was planned to reconstruct the platforms to make the trains fit for the platforms. That required even larger sums to be accomplished. Expanding the 1,300 platforms was time-consuming, as it took more than 2 years. This mistake costed time and fortune. Number 9. Walkie-talkie building can melt your car. There's a building which can actually melt your car. Yes, you heard it right. Situated on the French Church Street in London, this building proved to be an engineering failure, as there were cases that it was actually melting people's cars. One such story is of Martin Lindsay, who parked his car by the building and went to the bank down the street. When he returned, he saw the unexpected. There was a photographer taking pictures of his car, and some people gathered around it. What happened was the rearview mirror and some parts of his car had melted due to the strong heat generated by the reflection from the glass panes of the building. Not only the developers had to pay Martin for the damages, but they also had to fix the problem, which cost them a large sum. They had to put extra funds for sun protection to prevent the damage to other people's property. Number 8. $39 for travel around the world. $39 is an incredible price to fly from Los Angeles to San Diego. No doubt people rushed to buy the tickets. This happened to Alitalia, the air company which offered such an amazing price. Turns out, it was just a mishap. This mistake was just because of the typo, because the actual price of the ticket was around $4,000. But the website offered the tickets just because of a typo. More than 2,000 people got the tickets before the company had fixed the error. But the company showed a generous thing, as they honored the passengers by giving them low-priced tickets. This costed them more than $8 million loss. See what harm a typo can do? Read carefully before you click the send button. Number 7. Superman mustache problem. Poor Henry Cavill was caught in an odd and undeniably funny controversy last year, which the internet dubbed as Justache League. What happened was Henry was done with the shooting of Justice League and had grew a mustache for his next project, Mission Impossible Fallout. Soon after he started for his new project, that production team realized some new scenes were to be added in Justice League. This turned out to be a hairy situation. Henry's role in Mission Impossible needed him to have a mustache, but Warner Brothers wanted him to be clean-shaved. This was a whole mess for the both production houses. This proved to be an expensive mistake for the team, as Warner Brothers has to pay more than $25 million to coordinate the reshooting of the film. Beside this, they also had to hire CGI crew to use visual effects to remove that mustache, which costed more than $3 million. Number 6. Excite could have bought Google. Excite made a mistake that the founders are still regretting to this date. But what is Excite, you may wonder? Let us tell you that it used to be a big thing back in the day. It was the second most used search engine in the world in 1999, while the first one being Yahoo. Excite came across a golden chance, but wasted the opportunity. What went down back in the day? Google was known as Backrub. It was a new promising competitor in the internet market. Excite was offered to buy Google for only $750,000, but they passed on the opportunity as Google insisted that their technology will replace Excite's. But they were not ready for that. They observed that the technology of Google was way more advanced than Excite's. The technology of Google was reliable, and it actually provided users with the right information very quickly, which will result in Excite losing most of their revenue. Little did they know that Google would turn out to be the largest search engine in the world, with recent estimates of more than $167 billion, while Excite's fate was that it was sold to Yahoo in 2004. Number 5. A swaying bridge. The bridge connecting both sides of River Thames was opened on June 10, 2000. The construction of the bridge cost more than £18.2 million to the government, but all the money went to waste as the bridge was eventually closed 3 days later. It was due to the swaying fixture. It is said that more than 160,000 people crossed the bridge during the week it was opened. It was noticed by several pedestrians that the infrastructure was not right. It was then alarmed that there was rapid movement in the fixture of the bridge. The bridge popularity was said to be a major issue as more stepped along the path in unison. Obviously, it was the construction that made some mistakes. The bridge was then immediately closed amid concerns. It required more money to put on the bridge for the correction of the problem. The bridge did not open for more than 2 years. Number 4. Titanic sinking. Titanic ship was a Paragon, made in 1911. It was the largest passenger ship in history. Unfortunately, its fate also went down in history pages, but for horrible reasons. In 1912, he suffered the worst voyage as it hit an iceberg in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. This led to the disapproval of its name, which was unsinkable on its very first voyage. Although the crew was warned of all the possible disasters on the way, they still wanted to go on the voyage and test the ship out. We know this wasn't a smart move. The ship hit a huge glacier in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which caused the overflow of water into the vessel. The result was the horrible sinking of the ship on April 14, 1912. This costed more than $8 million at the time. Besides this, it also resulted in the death of more than 1,500 people. Number 3. B-2 bomber. Boom! Another major expensive failure. Despite the jet having primary purpose of being stealth, its fate literally disapproved this statement. It's one of the most recognizable military vehicles, and yes, it costed a good fortune for its creation. Turns out the high price did not give the provide the better quality of the materials. This worth $1.4 million machine met with unexpected fate. On its first flight, the sensors caused several problems and gave altitude errors, which resulted in a terrible crash during takeoff. The major cause of the mishap was reported to be rain, which caused an error in the sensors. Although the pilot survived the accident by ejecting before the terrible crash, yet this is one of the most expensive military failures of all time. So, all the fortune spent on its creation was literally drowned in rain. Number 2. James Howell threw away Bitcoin. Only a few people were blessed with the foresight that cryptocurrency will be the next big thing in internet business, and James Howell was definitely not one of such people to be blessed with the foresight. He acquired 7,500 Bitcoins, which were worth little at the time. No one knew then that they would take off in coming years. What happened was that James accidentally spilled coffee on his computer. Although he was able to retrieve it, but he sold most of the parts of the computer. But he got all the information he needed in the hard drive. The hard drive was kept safe in his drawer for some time until he threw it off for unknown reasons. Little did he know that this would be the mistake of a lifetime. When he saw that Bitcoin had taken off, he came to realize his mistake. He started a search for the drive in the city dump. The things went worse, as he was banned from searching due to the possible hazards of disturbing city waste. In 2017, Bitcoin skyrocketed to $19,743. This means that James basically threw away a hard drive worth $148 million. Number 1. Russia sold Alaska to the U.S. Dubbed as the last frontier, Alaska used to belong to Russia. Alexander II was of the thought that the area was of no use, as the rough weather condition made it impossible to have a place to farm and possibility of making it a trade port. Therefore, he sold the colony to the United States for more than $7.2 million in 1867. Little did Russia know that they would regret the decision later. a very few number of Russians had the chance to explore the interior of the land. Otherwise, they would have never made a mistake which was going to cost them money and a lifetime of regret. On the other hand, the United States didn't give them the chance to think and made away with such a huge reward. Turns out, Alaska has an abundance of valuable natural resources such as gold and oil. Now, more than a century and a half later, the rich land is estimated by experts to have an oil and gas reserves worth more than $200 billion alone. We hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.